It's finally Friday.
It's Friday, Friday.
Thank God it's
Welcome back to the Friday Show, presented by Woodbine Racetrack. I'm Scott Jagow, along with Ray Paulick. Coming up, we'll talk a little bit about this weekend's Delta Downs Jackpot. But first, been a lot of debate this week on our website about Horse of the Year. After the race, the Breeders' Cup Classic, in a lot of camps, it was a slam dunk that California Chrome would be Horse of the Year. But there are some people rallying to the defense of Arrogate. What do you think?
I can understand why there's people rallying behind Arrogate, but I'm old school. It's Horse of the Year. California Chrome had a year. He started early in California, went to Dubai. He won the Dubai World Cup, had a rest afterwards, came back, won 2 Grade 1 races in California and a Grade 2 leading up to the Breeders' Cup Classic. He got beat on the day that was probably the most important day of the year, but 6 out of 7 is pretty darn good.
No, it is. And Arrogate also had a pretty good year, although it didn't start until June. In the past, there have been examples of horses that have come along later in the year. I'm thinking maybe of All Along in 1983, who came over from France and won a series of turf races. The competition here wasn't that great for Horse of the Year, so she ended up getting the award. I don't think this is that case, but you can make a case for Arrogate. Especially when you look at the Breeders' Cup Classic performance, where California Chrome had a better post position. He had a tactical advantage in that he had a pretty easy lead and pace, and that Arrogate had to run him down, and he did run him down. And then you look at his performance in the Travers, which was a 13.5 length record-setting performance. So those are standout performances, and you might argue that Arrogate right now is the better horse. But again, the award is Horse of the Year, and I think that's where the vote's probably going to fall.
Yeah, I look at the Travers Stakes as kind of yes, it was a great performance. He won. He set a track record and all that. But this was not a great year for 3-year-olds. That by then, the 3-year-old division had pretty much sorted themselves out, and they were beating each other. And so he stood out among that group. Let's not forget, he got 4 pounds in the Breeders' Cup Classic as a 3-year-old. 4 pounds over 1.25 miles can make a difference. If they meet again next year in the Pegasus World Cup, I think they'll be at even weights. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think it could be a case of where we had Shared Belief a couple years ago. I thought was the better horse at the end of the year over California Chrome, but again, it was that whole year thing, and then Shared Belief did end up beating him. But that doesn't mean California Chrome didn't deserve Horse of the Year that time or this time. All right, some of the other Eclipse Awards, I think in terms of the equine categories, we know most of them, but there are some interesting possibilities around the human categories, particularly jockey and trainer. So let's start with trainer. Who do you think is going to win?
I think Chad Brown will get his first Eclipse Award. He's number 1 in money, and I'm usually the first one to say don't look just at money. But in this case, I say that because usually it's going to be Todd Pletcher on top. And Chad Brown has displaced him. He led the Saratoga meeting. He had a better Breeders' Cup. He's got horses in multiple divisions that are performing at the high end. So I think Chad Brown wins his first Eclipse Award over Todd Pletcher, ending the streak.
I tend to agree. He did have the most graded stakes victories as well. But I will give a tip of the cap to Mark Cassie, who had a really good year. He trained a horse to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and Classic Empire. The campaign he had with Tepin was unbelievable. You look at a guy like that who he's gotten all the awards in Canada. He hasn't, gotten the Eclipse Award, but I think his time is coming, and I think this year kind of showed where, the path that he's on. In terms of jockey, Javier Castellano has won 3 in a row. He's at the top of the statistical rankings once again. Do you think he's going to do a 4-bagger?
Well, the fact that he's on top and switched agents midway through the year is kind of interesting. He wasn't happy with his agent. He got rid of him. He got a new agent, and he's still on top in terms of money. To me, this was not his best year either, kind of like Pletcher. I don't know which way the jockey's going to go. If they go by money, obviously Javier, but the Ortiz brothers have had both of them Irad and Jose have had phenomenal years to me, and I think they deserve consideration. I know you like somebody.
Well, I think Florent Giroux should be considered because he's right there behind the Ortiz brothers in terms of earnings, and he's only one graded stakes behind Castellano, 30-29. He's got 9 Grade 1 wins, and he's traveled the entire circuit all over the New York and Kentucky and California. He's showed up everywhere, has performed well everywhere. He's an up-and-comer, and I like Florent Giroux as an upset possibility in this year's Eclipse Award for Jockey.
It's Exaggerator, Sunny Ridge, and Exaggerator ekes it out in the Delta Downs Jackpot.
So last year, it was Exaggerator winning the Delta Downs Jackpot, and of course, he went on to do very well during the Triple Crown season, finishing second in the Derby, winning the Preakness. This race, even after they changed to the point system, has been influential for the Derby Trail. So this year, we have a field of 10. It looks very competitive, horses coming from around the country. Who do you like?
Well, not just from around the country, but from some of the best stables in the country. You've got Triple Crown winning trainers Steve Asmussen, Bob Baffert, Ken McPeak, Doug O'Neill, Dale Romans, 2 from Mark Casse, who's knocking on the door. He's got next year's Derby favorite. I like Dale Romans' colt in here, J-Boy's Echo. He just broke his maiden at Keeneland, but he did it in a way that suggests he might be a pretty good horse. Had all kinds of trouble at the top of the stretch, took off, split horses, one drawing away. Really nice acceleration down the stretch. So I like J-Boy's Echo, 8-1 on the morning line.
Well, I'm going to go with another horse coming from Keeneland. That is Our Stormin' Norman, trained by Casse, ridden by Julien Leparoux. He has 5 starts so far, a little bit of seasoning. I like that. He didn't break his maiden until his last start, but boy, was he impressive doing it. Over 7 furlongs, setting the pace, 22-45 in terms of the fractions. That's pretty impressive. Winning over 7 furlongs for the first time on dirt. He had raced previously on turf, but his 2 best starts by blame. I've been on the dirt, so I like him as an upsetter at 8-1 on the morning line. Let us know who you like in this year's Delta Downs Jackpot. Take the poll on our website, PaulickReport.com. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of the Friday Show presented by Woodbine Racetrack. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.